Okay, so I'll show you the book. There's a few books that talk about it. There's also Midrash Me'am Loez. Midrash Me'am Loez written by Rabbi...
It's an exaggeration of the Midrashim, right?
No, Midrash Me'am Loez is one of the best Midrashim there is. He uses hundreds and hundreds of sources. It's not like his Midrash, not his own words. Midrash Me'am Loez, if you look at the back of the book, it's a series of 45, 50 books. You look at the end of it, it shows you the sources of every single thing, and you see there's footnotes. You read each paragraph, there's footnotes, and he shows you where he got everything. There's a 1, so you go to the end of the book, chapter 1, it tells you where the source is, what page number, where this. Average book, you'll see no less than 500 different sources, from Gemara, from Zohar, from all types of books, Shulchan Aruch, everywhere. So it's all sourced. It's not like he created out of his own mind. Rabbi Kook was a tzaddik, Gamur. Before he would write, he would do something called a Ta'anit Efsek, which means he would stop eating Motzei Shabbat, eating and drinking. He would fast starting Motzei Shabbat until Friday. No eating, no drinking until Friday.
How many years ago was this?
300 years ago.
It's also Rabbi
the whole week.
Would do these type of fasts.
The whole week.
You wouldn't eat and drink for the whole week?
He would do it. He did it a few times. I don't know how many times he did it. He did it.
No drink?
No drinking, no eating for a whole week. But not all no eating, no drinking. And he's like us on Yom Kippur, where we're like half dead. He learned Torah and write the whole time.
Torah will give him energy.
Non-stop learning, non-stop, learning and teaching and doing everything, but also not eating. Like I said before, when you are connected to Hashem, connected to the Torah, that's all you need. Everything else becomes meaningless.
And it says, let's say this Midrash says 100 million people left Egypt, and that Midrash says 5 million people left Egypt.
Right.
So, Rashi says this, Me'am Loez says this. So who should I hold by when I tell people about Yitzhak Mitzrayim?
Well, generally, the most of the Midrashim, they don't provide you really information that is, if there's different of opinion, it's not usually something that's monumental to such an extent that it changes halakha or anything. It's just details. So, for example, whether there was 5 million people that left Egypt or 500 million people, it's irrelevant. You still have to be Jewish. You still have to keep Shabbat. You still have to keep Talat Mishpacha. You still have to not waste seed. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. So in general, as far as Midrashim and details, it's up to you, really, whether you want to believe it, don't believe it. I mean, generally, it's part of the oral Torah. It's very much real. But some people have an easy time with it. Some people don't. Like, for example, if you look at the Midrashim about the 12 tribes, the 12 sons of Yaakov Avinu, if you watch the shiur we did about it, they're the definition of superheroes. Now, someone, like, for example, my dad, he doesn't really like mystical stuff. He doesn't like mystical stuff. I didn't like mystical stuff in the past either. I didn't like the stuff, tell me this and this tzaddik made a miracle. That stuff just didn't sound right to me. There's a Gemara, famous Gemara, with an argument between Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkinos versus all of the tzaddikim. His opinion next to everybody else. And there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, says that if you put the value of all of the tzaddikim, all of them, in comparison to just Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkinos, he outweighs all of them. He's more than all of them.
Is he the one who said he bring something tameh, he would say kasher?
No.
There was one of the rabbis.
Could be somebody else.
He would bring him something, he would say.
He was one of the rabbis of Rabbi Akiva, and it was a major tzaddik. The point is that one day there was an argument, and he said one thing, they said something else, and he says, "Listen, but I'm right." She says, "No, listen. The way that halakha is judged is based on the numbers. We're the majority of the rabbis versus one, we rule." He goes, "Yeah, but I'm right." I says, "We don't take based on your what you think is right or don't think is right." He goes, "Okay, but if I'm right now Hashem is going to split this tree. a lightning is going to come down and split this tree. And exactly that's what happened. Lightning came down and split the tree. And they said, we're sorry, we don't learn halacha from split trees. Like, okay, if I'm right, the water on the river is going to start going backwards. Backwards. Going against the stream. The water starts going backwards. They say, we're sorry, we don't learn halacha from water going backwards. He says a few other things, but then he gets to the last miracle. He says, if I'm right, there's going to be a bat kol, a heavenly voice, is going to come down and say, I'm right. And a bat kol came down. Why are you messing with my son, Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos? Don't you know that halacha is always like him? And they said, we're sorry, but according to our Torah, we don't learn halacha from a bat kol. We don't learn halacha from bat kol. We learn halacha based on the rules that Hashem gave us. Majority here wins. Later on, one of the tzaddikim saw the Yaron Navi. The Yaron Navi would appear and ask him this big argument that they had, Rabban Gamliel versus Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos. They put him on cherem after that. They said, listen, because you went against the rabbis, that's it, we can't take your judgment anymore. They put him away. And said, they asked the Yaron Navi, what was Hashem doing when this craziness was happening, these miracles were happening? What happened at the end when the bat kol came down, and which in essence is like an echo of Hashem's voice. It's not his voice, but it's like an echo of it. What was he doing when we said, no, halacha doesn't go by him? He said, Hashem was laughing. He said, I tried to trick my sons, but they beat me here. They followed the Torah. They did right. They were right. Halacha does not come from a bat kol. So, this is a cool story.
What happened to him?
Well, he continued. He ended the rest of his life. He was not part of the Beit Din anymore. But there was another story where his wife was Rabban Gamliel's sister. So his wife knew that he was a big tzaddik. So every time he would pray, she would interfere with him. She would interfere his prayer. Because she knew that if he prayed, start crying. And if he starts crying, people are going to die. Because Hashem will listen to his prayer. So every day, before he would bow, she would always interfere with him. She would stop him from bowing. And then one day, she got caught up with something, and when she came back, she saw that he bowed. And she starts crying and screaming, saying, oh no, my brother is dead. My brother, Rabban Gamliel, is dead. And then shortly after, somebody knocks on the door. He's like, I'm sorry, ma'am. There's a big tsar in Am Yisrael, the Gdol Ador, Rabban Gamliel is dead. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos says, how'd you know? How'd you know? Were you a prophet? She goes, no. I knew that your prayer is very big in Shamayim.
You prayed for him to die.
And I knew that as soon as you feel sorry a little bit about anything, Hashem will avenge your blood. Without it, you didn't pray for him to die, Chas v'shalom. But he still felt sorry that he's alone and he's not part of the Beit Din. They kicked him out and so on. So Hashem didn't like it. That's it, took a life. That's how big he was. That's how big he was. Gemara, B'ezrat Hashem, you learn Gemara, you learn all this. So, now, the story, this very same story, it's a very cool story. It's a very nice story. But I have to do tshuva because of this story. Why? Because the first time I heard this story, my brother, Gabi, told me this story. He was trying to tell me the story. And I was like really, really early in my tshuva. Very, very early in my tshuva. I was completely not into mystical stuff. I didn't like it. Wasn't connecting to it. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was made up. Never learned a page of Gemara Bechlal. Didn't know anything. Not that I know that much now, but this I didn't know. So he starts telling me this story. He was doing tshuva, Baruch Hashem. He was much stronger than me. And he starts telling me the story. I'm like, listen, I don't know this stuff. I'm just focusing on Pirkei Avot or whatever I was learning over there. Just focusing on something else. I don't want to hear it. And I heard him. I know I offended him because I didn't want to hear what he was saying. I know I offended him. And I'm sorry for it. Because ever since that day, I can't stop thinking about it. I haven't stopped thinking about it, of how wrong I was. Because whether you like it, you don't like it, doesn't make a difference. It's Torah. Be quiet. Listen. That's it. You understand? So, it's very, very important for us to know there's certain types of Torah that you're going to connect to. Certain types of Torah that you're not going to connect to. It doesn't mean that Torah you don't connect to is not true. It doesn't mean that Torah you don't connect to is not good. It means you're not ready. Understand? You're not ready. I make sauce once in a while, whenever I actually have time. Not anymore for a long time. Make sauce, spaghetti, different sauce. Now to make sauce, you can either just throw a bunch of tomatoes in there or tomato sauce in there, and that's it. Heat it up, it's fine. Or you can make sauce. Sauce, you have to put some sugar in it, you got to put some salt in it, you got to put a little tavlinim, you got to make some nice sauce. But if you put everything at the end, after it's already cooked, it's worthless. If you put everything in the beginning, it's also worthless. Everything has timing. Everything has to be put at a certain time. Everything has to be put at a certain quantity. Same thing with your Torah. If you just started keeping Shabbat, you start learning Chumash, and now all of a sudden somebody tells you, oh, you want to go learn Zohar? Run. Run. You're not ready, my friend. It can ruin you. It can ruin you. You're going to learn something, it's going to mess your mind up. You're not ready for it. What do you think? They have a hospital in Halanof for crazy people for no reason? Most of the attendees were people that learned Zohar before their time. It's not a joke.
I did something I told you a few weeks ago, like for a few days.
Okay, so you didn't listen to my advice, and that's what happens.
They were teaching it in the class that I was. And
Don't listen. Basic stuff, yeah. You make somebody mentions Zohar as a source, yeah, but the really, really stuff, the stuff that's
only do tikkunim Zohar. It's good to clean the soul. I heard.
You know what's the best thing to clean the soul? Learn Torah. That's it. It's basic level Jew. Basic level Jew. All this stuff of like high level stuff, going to some kfar, going to some woods and praying there, going to a cave, asking for names of angels that's mentioned in the Zohar. I don't know, doing all these different things that... Learn some Gemara, learn some Chumash, learn some basic halachot. Do that for the next 25, 30 years. Then we'll talk about the other things. First, learn one masechet. Now I'm not talking about 100. One masechet, have an understanding of it. Not even by heart. Have an understanding of the entire masechet. One book. Here, see, this is Masechet Avodah Zarah, has 2 books. It's 70-something page, 75, 76 pages for the entire Masechet. So it's 2 books. Learn Masechet Avodah Zarah to a point where I can ask you any question about this Masechet. Any question. And you know the answer. One. Then we'll start talking about something else. It's not easy. I'm telling you. It takes a long time. You have to become Biki. Biki means an expert in the entire Gemara, in the entire Chumash, in the entire Tanakh, entire Shulchan Aruch, before you even think about Zohar and Kabbalah and all this other stuff. There's certain things you're just not ready for. This is the reason why also I've been thinking more and more about this shiur that people ask me about, this Genom. 99.999% of people are not ready for it. And the people that think that they're ready for it, they're not ready for it. Because every time I mention something that happens in Genom, everybody's like, it's horrible. It's horrible. So what I decided that I think I'm going to do is that here and there I'm going to throw a little fact. Here and there I'm going to throw. Like last week in the shiur on Thursday, we did we talked about Lashon Hara. What happens to people who do Lashon Hara, or people that steal from Hashem. They feed them sand. But their tongue, they hang it to the ceiling, all types of things. You know. So, that's one thing that people get scared of. Okay, so, B'ezrat Hashem, they do tshuva for that. I'm not going to go into the details, but for sex crimes, they do the same thing, but just with the sex organs. Anyone, amevin yavin. Instead, so, it's not for everyone. It's not necessary. You learn the basics. You be a basic level Jew. That's all you need. That's all you need. That's all you need. All you need, basic, beautiful Torah. Learn Parashat Shavua. Maybe learn your parasha for your bar mitzvah by heart. Whenever your parasha for bar mitzvah is, may actually learn it by heart, but actually know what it says. Understand what it says. Learn Rashi, Tosfot, Rambam. Learn Mishnayot. Learn some Musar every day. Learn how to have patience. Learn how to have manners. Learn how to be a human being. Learn that. Learn that. Without being a human being, your Torah is considered to'ava. Your Torah is considered disgusting. You can know all the verses in the world by heart. You have gava, you have no manners. It's worthless. Worthless, mamash worthless, what it says in the Torah. So you have to understand that the key to Torah is to make you into a human being. Once you become a good Jew, you become a human being, then you can build on it. But if you don't learn Torah, or you just start making your own rules, then instead of worrying about doing tefillah on Rosh Hashanah because it's Judgment Day, what are you going to worry about? You're going to worry about buying a white suit so you can wear it to Bet Knesset like people do. They buy a white suit. Guy just did tshuva 6 months ago. He goes to buy a white suit. Goes to buy a white suit so you can go to Bet Knesset, because in the old days they used to wear white. So he heard about this, and him and his friends go buy white suits. They barely know any mitzvot, they barely know any halachot, they barely know anything from their life. They still act like animals, they still have no manners, still nothing, but they want to go buy a white suit. Why don't they just look at what Rav Ovadia, Gdol Ador, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, look at what he did. Did you ever see him wear a white suit? No, why not? Because he wrote in his book, in our generation, someone that wears a white suit, whether it's on Shabbat or on Chagim, is chutzpan. This doesn't belong in this generation. Doesn't belong. Doesn't belong. Doesn't belong. Doesn't belong. Rav Ovadia says no. He doesn't wear white suits. It's not style. It's not. It's not. It doesn't belong in our. Huh?
The long white Hasidic thing.
White suit. I'm talking about white suit.
Oh,
white suit. Not. White suit. So again, we have to stop worrying about the external stuff. We have to stop worrying about the things that are far away from us. The things that we have no idea what they even are. Focus on the basics, because the basics themselves are so significant that even if we learn them every single day, night and day, 24 hours a day, for the next 500 years, we still won't know all the basics. That's how big the basics are. That's how big the basics are.